Hey, this is Malcolm. Cancel your plans, put on some pants, and let's do some drawing. In today's video, we are going to do a little bit of children's book illustration, namely this little piece depicting some lucky fella drowning in a room full of spaghetti. I know that's where I want to be right now. If this looks familiar to you, that's because it probably is. Today's illustration is a little piece of fan art based on Tommy dePaola's classic story of Strega Nonna, featuring two things that I certainly love: spaghetti and Italians. But before we begin, we need to talk sponsorship. This video is sponsored by this clogged spray paint nozzle. I regret buying it. Details in the description below. Do you know what's also in the description below? The link to your free guide on 9 tips for better drawings. Check it out. It's free, entertaining, and potentially educational. Alrighty, back to the task at hand. Mate, take a look at this 4-panel sequence. Big Anthony is being overpowered by an out-of-control magical cauldron of pasta. He's freaking out, nearing certain defeat, and look, the poor dude is probably gluten intolerant at this point, but what can you do? So, I'll be creating this illustration on an iPad using Procreate. I'm not even going to try and reach the greatness of Tommy dePaola, so I'm just going to have a bit of fun. We're going to start with an extremely mediocre sketch, refine the main shapes, chuck in some details, and color it in. So let's begin. What we're going to do first is put in a frame. What's particularly great about this design is the feeling we get of being trapped. The random ingredients hanging from the top here implies that the ceiling is hanging just out of frame, and of course the lack of floor below. This is the perfect place for an out-of-control cauldron to smash out a whole bunch of spaghetti. At this stage, I'm just chucking a bunch of ideas onto my canvas. I'm going to keep the window and the cauldron in their original spots, and I'll then put our character Big Anthony surrounded by just a whole bunch of spaghetti, and I'll also make him a bit more panicked than he is in the source material. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with this composition. I'm now going to lower the opacity of my sketch and create a new layer for my inking. I love the way that dePaola drew spaghetti in this story. He started with large volumes, and then he put in the details. This is a very useful technique. If you start with the large form first, then it'll be much easier to commit to the details later. Alright, we are now quickly approaching our 2-second like break. If you're getting value from this video, your chance to hit like is now. Alright, so how did I discover Strega Nonna? Quick story. I was born in South Africa, and when I was 5, my dad took our family to live in Buffalo, New York for 6 months. A lot of Americans I know crack jokes about Buffalo and its weather, but compared to apartheid South Africa, Buffalo was Disneyland. It was flipping fantastic. It was my creative renaissance period at the age of 5. There was Nintendo, Crayola, and Ninja Turtles. I mean, what else do you need? Anyway, I was a pupil at Forest Elementary School, where at some point I was given a copy of Strega Nonna. I've still got it here. Look at this. They spelt my name right, and look at that handwriting. That's a teacher's handwriting. Anyway, happy memories. That's how I found out about this fantastic story. So, whenever you're inking, it's always good to shade in some shadow areas with your black pen. It'll make your artwork more interesting and make it easier when moving on to color. If it already looks good in black and white, then you will have more confidence when you're coloring. Now that I've got a solid ink drawing in place, I'm now going to improvise, erase, and add some extra ends of frayed spaghetti sticking out in some places just to give the scene a bit more disorder. Alrighty, time for some colors. So let's create a new layer and put it underneath the ink layer here. I'll use a rough rendition of the original palette, but I'll also put in some changes as well. In this stage, you just need a block in your colors. I'm making the walls a bit darker so that the lighter colors in the spaghetti pop out. Now this is my favorite part. On a new layer above the color layer, I start drawing in some dark purple shadows, which will then have its opacity lowered to make things look super shadowy. And while we've got the purple out, I'll just put in some faint bricks on the wall here. The main reason for this design choice is because I find bricks beautiful. Don't judge me. Okay, let's get messy now. I'm now doing a similar purple layer, this time using a spatter spray paintbrush. I knock back the opacity and start erasing again. This is just to create a bit more drama between the lights and the shadows. Now, you'd think we're done, but we're not, because I'm an absolute amateur and I forgot to give this dude rosy cheeks. If you're in Strega Nonna, you gotta have rosy cheeks. Even the bunny has rosy cheeks. The peacock hasn't. but he flew away. So, in summary, we started with a terrible sketch of the unfolding events at hand, added in some confident black lines with a few pockets of shading, added in the base color, and then 2 layers of purpley shadows. If you've got questions about this process, leave a question below. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching. Eat your greens, stay in school, drink plenty of water, call your loved ones, wash your hands. Until next time, see ya!